So before we even begin the first part of this video, I'm not going to talk about any spoilers. I won't spoil anything for you, just my feelings on it. And then towards the next part of this video, I will do spoilers and I'll warn you. But for now, spoiler free, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't be talking about it on this channel where I just talk about stuff I love if I didn't find enough interesting things to say about it. And straight up, I think this movie just really entertained me. Especially because I feel like just when I was starting to get cynical about some of the MCU stuff, you hear the complaints and I get them, like some formulaic stuff, some bad special effects and stuff, and just not really that, like just when I started to finally maybe start to feel that myself a little bit, this movie pulled me back in. And I think it's for a couple of reasons. Number one, Sam Raimi, which I'll get to in a bit. But number two, I really like the first Doctor Strange movie. So I was kind of predisposed to at least somewhat enjoy this, especially because they followed through on a couple of things from that movie. Not perfectly, but still. I actually think Doctor Strange is my favorite standalone, like first debut movie for a character. I don't know why, but that one in particular, I can just watch endlessly. And between that and then them kind of fleshing out Doctor Strange over a couple of movies made me really like and appreciate Doctor Strange. He was never really my favorite comic book hero. Now that I've gotten more into him, I've read a couple more arcs and I appreciate him, but I really like movie Doctor Strange. And then of course there's a thing you've probably heard a million other movie people talk about, but it is Sam Raimi's identity, Sam Raimi's fingerprints all over this movie, from the camera angles to the weird shots to the horror tones. I was very happy to see they let him do a Raimi-ass movie. Actually, I think in some parts it was kind of like almost feel like it was hitting you over the head saying, hey, this is a Sam Raimi movie. But still, I just thought like all of it was really, really memorable and entertaining. Like it just felt like they gave a shit in this one. Like it did not feel like just another MCU movie. I think for some people it might still be, but if you're like weird like me and you watch them all pretty frequently, you can see how this one just feels fresh. And it's because I think for the most part they actually just let the director do whatever he wants, and he's clearly very talented. I'm also biased. I like Sam Raimi movies. He's made a ton of movies and then he stopped for a while, but most of them are really, really great. Darkman is one of my favorites. Obviously, Spider-Man 2, I've talked about a million times on this channel, the Raimi Spider-Man movies. Also, you know what? Oz the Great and Powerful, I feel like I was the only person that saw that, and I didn't hate it. You're probably watching this and you're like, no, Jake, talk about Evil Dead. But yes, yeah, of course. But just really from the visual style, the way the movie looked, the way the action was presented, the way the action worked with the CGI, which of course there's like a ton of special effects and stuff, but just everything about it felt a little better, felt a little more crisp. I think maybe like it's just recent stuff like Moon Knight or even Spider-Man No Way Home where I'm just so like, ugh, with the special effects. It starts to get distracting with how not great it looks. I think for the most part, this movie looked pretty damn good. It's still clearly like a lot of CGI, but like the first time Doctor Strange like flies up to the camera, I was like, whoa, shit, that looks good, which is something I just don't say out loud too much when I watch these types of movies sometimes. But I like what it did for Stephen Strange's character. He had an arc. I wish he had more, though. There's a lot more going on in this movie that doesn't give him a ton of room, but what they did do with him, his through line, I really liked. A lot of it was about the villain, which was pretty sick, which I'll get to in spoilers. America Chavez, a new character introduced, I also thought was kind of underutilized. I thought, you know, a lot of her character was around it being a plot device, but I thought the person that played her was charming and nice, and I just wish there was more expansion on that. But I think for me, what I also really liked, and this is corny, all the multiverse stuff I thought was really cool. You know, like I've seen some interesting complaints about this movie, like the writing was bad and stuff like that. Like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Why would this happen if they could just, like, did you see Spider-Man No Way Home? I love that movie. Really awesome stuff, but I feel like it was just this jumbled mess to get to the cool stuff. And I actually think Doctor Strange handles that a little better. No disrespect to Spider-Man, my king, but I also, and like, it's not like dismissive of this, but like, I don't come to these movies and expect profound things, especially when it comes to time travel or multiverse portals. Like, it kind of goes back to that scene from Looper where old Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Bruce Willis, are talking to each other about time travel, and then they just go, you know what, it doesn't matter. Like, you're gonna get lost in the weeds if you try and, you know. I do go on feeling most of the time with this stuff. Every once in a while in a movie, I'll see something and I'll go, well, that's dumb. But for the most part, I just try and go on vibes and feel, and I am skeptical of when nostalgia is weaponized or used a little too hard, and there's a couple parts parts we'll talk about here. But ultimately, it comes back to what I said at the beginning of the video. I was entertained. I got, and it's like corny and cringy to use the phrase, but like I got the comic book feelies. I got the shivers in my spine. I got the big wide smile. Not because of nostalgic elements or anything like that, but just ways it did things and how zany it was. It just felt like it could have been torn from a page of a thing I used to read a long time ago. Technically, yes. If you want to talk about like it being a messy movie, sure. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is a much stronger, much more compelling and rich multiverse story. You should see that movie, especially if you're someone who will complain about an MCU movie. Go to the movie theater and see a real good movie that needs support like that. But I recommend it. It's entertaining. I had a good time at the movies, but now I need to talk about spoilers. That was really hard to do without talking about spoilers. So here's your spoiler warning, your spoiler alert. Let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. Spoiler time. Dude, I loved that Wanda was the villain. I also just really had a lot of respect for it because of how it cashed checks that it wrote a long time ago from the development of Wanda, from her killing Vision in the end of Infinity War, and then just kind of how that was a ripple effect more than you would even think it would have been in at the time is really something incredible. And for them, I think, to follow through with that, really, like with WandaVision and everything, that's a blown out and developed villain that this is gonna sound crazy, but like it rivals Thanos, because Thanos, obviously, like the movie spent a lot of time with him and they did a good job making him compelling and, charismatic. The thing with Thanos is that a lot of the tease for him and the lead ups to him was relegated to, after credit scenes and stuff like that. Wanda and her rise to villainy was developed through multiple things, and I thought it was good that they really followed through on that. I also think the movie spent a shit ton of time making her scary, making her awesome, really selling it, and doing a good job of actually, like, that's a hard leap, right? Like you take this MCU Scarlet Witch as this hero, part of the Avengers, to now she's willing to murder everybody because she wants kids, right? It sounds crazy on paper, but the movie and the lead ups and the emotion just sold it really, really well, while also just having a good action and horror director, making her powerful and scary in a ton of ways. Now, I think that, I would have liked to have spent a little more time on Doctor Strange and, had Mordo be less of just like a thing that was like wiped away in a lot of ways. But her villain arc, and specifically the way she was portrayed as this like horror movie, like a walking horror movie trope, but in believable, convincing, fun ways, was just like incredible. And I think the Wanda villain thing should be celebrated because, like I said, they took a long time to build it up, but also the fact that like they were willing to do it. Like, I never go into the main Star Wars movies. I don't like to talk about them on the internet. Like, I just like to enjoy Star Wars on my own because the conversations around it are so shitty. But like, I felt like with Rey, they had a really good opportunity to make her evil and do a really interesting story twist or story spin. But they were backed into a corner because I feel like they didn't really want to make the cool hero girl into a villain. Here, we got a cool character that has been a hero, a side character that people have loved for a while, and they made her bad, and it was really worth the payoff. Now, of course, the big thing, gotta talk about it, is the Illuminati, or this MCU version of the Illuminati. Wild shit, just crazy stuff. On the one hand, is it like they just put that in there so that, people could have another multiverse thing to look forward to, like a tease? Maybe it was a marketing thing, but as someone who is at least, down for anything, doesn't really care, I thought it was really cool. I actually was surprised how excited I was about it, not just because like I saw one of my favorite characters show up, but just because it felt like a comic book thing where these characters just come in, wow, they're gone. Like, I think a lot of audiences need to get used to that because I've seen a lot of people really pissed at how they were just killed off. I've seen some people say like this movie doesn't like the audience because it would just bait them and then kill them off. But like, I'm like, hey, that comes with the territory, man. That's how this goes. You really thought they were going to introduce Patrick Stewart, Charles Xavier, and then after this, there's going to be like 5 MCU X-Men movies? No way. I like what they did here with them just kind of having fun and having these multiverse things, and where they're like, oh, what if we brought in, Patrick Stewart, Charles, and what if we brought in Black Bolt? Can we talk about that? Like, I'm not like super into the Inhumans or anything, but I was just so excited to see Black Bolt, and like real legit Black Bolt. He looked incredible. His costume was awesome. He had the little wings and everything. They used the actor from that unfortunate show, but he looked awesome. And I think it was just like him being there, and it was just like so like, whoa, yeah, like comic book shit. Like, and I know like that might sound corny. I don't have like a very good eloquent way of explaining it, but it's just that thing where random people come and go that just felt very much like a page. Oh boy, the John Krasinski as Reed Richards is interesting. I actually think that that's very much like they really like, it's almost like the people who make the Marvel movies, like you're too online. Stop being so online. Like that is 100% fan casted, where I personally think it's just a visual thing where people made photoshops of John Krasinski as Reed Richards. Cool. Like he looks cool. But for me, I don't know. I don't really find him like a Reed Richards like. I like my Reed Richards feeling hyper smart, stern, but like also kind of aloof. It depends. Interpretations are different, and I always say celebrate as many different interpretations of these characters as you can. This one I wasn't super into. I actually thought it would have been cooler if instead of doing that fan casting thing, they actually dragged in Jon Grufford one last time from the original Fantastic Four movies. Come on, even if you don't like those movies, I thought he was a good choice. But I think it was big for them to not just like have a roster of characters for Wanda to kill off to then feel even more powerful and more scary and raise the stakes. Like it was also done in a way where it was like you have characters that are like nostalgia recurring characters. Wow, Charles Xavier. You have what if Captain Carter? Like you have an alternate Captain Marvel. Of course, then you have fan casting cool shit like a John Krasinski. And then all aspects of those, however you're coming to it from, they're all wiped out. All your hopes and dreams are dashed. And that might piss some people off, but for me, I look at it as just like fun little haha what ifs, and then it made Wanda cooler. And she's an actual real character. She's not a come and go cameo. What I also liked about this kind of like rampant killing of these cool characters is like not just the way it was like shot and how scary and jarring it was that it gave me the comic feel in the sense like just some of those more edgy arcs you read. You know, like a lot of people talk about how it'd be so cool to have House of M and stuff like that, or any of those types of things. But then they're pissed off when these characters get killed. But that's how it goes, man. In some character arcs, like some more edgy stuff, like characters are brought up to get killed for that impact, for the shock of the story, and to move it forward. And I thought it did it pretty well here. It gave me that feel. But I barely talked about Doctor Strange. So I love the beginning of the movie with him literally off the balcony putting his drink down and da-da-da and Doctor Stranging. I don't know why, but that always works for me. That just like pure embracing of the superhero doing the superhero thing with no real like cynicism or like reservation and not being like not willing to do it. Like no, Stephen Strange jumps off a balcony, whips out the cloak, does his Doctor Strange thing. And that was the scene I actually was talking about in the beginning of the video. The first scene where he flies up to the camera and, you know, that looked really good, like really, really good. And I think that whole scene, special effects wise, considering like it was almost all computer generated, I thought it looked really good. And I think a lot of that was the cinematography, Raimi cinematographer, and of course his direction. A lot of it also felt like a nod to previous action scenes he has done, but in a really cool way. But like also just felt like really detailed. None of it felt flat. Every single thing that happened felt like it had purpose or intent, from the framing to what was going on to how, you know, real characters merged with special effects and stuff. Like everything just felt good. Just stuff I wanted to chew on, you know? And they let Raimi do like a spooky Halloween movie almost. Like the second half of this movie goes full spooky and creepy. And I was so happy to have Doctor Strange zombie, to have him in like real makeup and everything. Like that was just so great. I really didn't think, and like, you know, the souls of the damned, and like for them to go that hard on that, I was blown away. I was like totally in my element as like a weird little Halloween boy. This was great. And all of it worked really well. Like it's like, again, I should have said this in the beginning. So huge Danny Elfman fan, huge, big Sam Raimi fan. They have worked together, and that's like the height of my favorite shit. And then them separately. So like it was just like a perfect storm here. So like the music, the way it just actually responds to scenes, and it's that type of thing. It's not just great music playing. It's reactive and it's good. To the music scene, the music fight scene, okay? Doctor Strange versus Doctor Strange fighting with like music and stuff. I've never watched something and thought more of other people while I was watching something. I don't usually do that, but I was watching it and I was like, People are going to think this is so stupid. People are going to hate this. This is going to be the thing in the movie where people who don't like the movie are going to point out that this was dumb. I fucking loved it. I was like, yes, just do weird, cool, crazy shit like that. And this movie did a lot of like really showing the Doctor Strange repertoire, his tool set. Just like it kind of left you not really, you know, if you're not like super into it, you just know he just blasts things. It was just cool to see him do so much. And then also just to have an interesting through line. Like I said, I wish there was more, but I really love the recurring theme. I thought it was very cool, the whole "Are you happy?" thing. I thought it was very cool for them to carry that through the movie. I really, really like that. I wish there was a little bit more of it, but I also really liked like reading between the lines, seeing a Stephen Strange dealing with fear and self-doubt, despite being like this like omnipotent God, basically, after saving the world. And the things he's capable of, still below that, being a person who can have fear and, you know, problems with themselves and questioning some decisions or whatever. And you got little hints of that throughout the movie. And what I really liked was him walking up the beautiful staircase in the no good Sanctum Sanctorum with the creepy Doctor Strange at the top. Like it was him knowing he was going to face himself. And as he was walking up the steps, like you could sense a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of hesitation. And I like stuff like that. I wish the movie had more to it, but it's good to play around and continue that thing of that once arrogant surgeon. Who is he now? And it even made me care about the Rachel McAdams, Christine's subplot. I was very like, wow, okay, cool. Like by the end, I was like, all right, cool. I care. In the first one, it was like, okay, whatever. But I didn't think it would go any further, and they did it in a way where I did care, and I was pretty impressed. Ultimately, I had a great time. It's going to be one of the ones that I like the original Doctor Strange. I'm going to watch quite often. I just found it very entertaining. I love that it doesn't have as massive ramifications on the MCU as you thought it would, or at least like it's not dragged down by it in any way. I still don't know what they're doing with the multiverse stuff. I still don't know how much it matters. It's not like a portal was ripped open and now the X-Men are here, or a portal was ripped open and all these dead characters. Like, no, it's just a movie. It's just a movie, and it was interesting. Good Doctor Strange stuff. Good Wong, who I didn't really get to mention. Good action. Great music that pairs up with it. Sam Raimi, Danny Elfman, all these greats just doing some heavy-hitting shit here. Just pure entertainment. Again, maybe not the cleanest stuff, maybe a little messy, but entertaining. And at the very least, like, I would love Sam Raimi to do more, but if he doesn't, whatever, I would like this to maybe like Marvel will see this and go, okay, now we can get these more, like emphasize more of this like heavy hitting like director stuff where like we really let them do whatever they want, like how they do with James Gunn and stuff. Just once again, a movie that is just a movie. It's telling a cool story. It's not completely bogged down by trying to build a universe. It is just a cool thing, a cool day in the life of a superhero, and being scary and kind of fucked up and weird and wild. We need more of that stuff. But that's just me, man. I've been yapping about this for too long, so I want to hear from you in the comments. If you liked Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, what was your favorite moment? What was your favorite action scene? How do you feel about the crazy Illuminati stuff? Oh my God, like who do you think is sitting in that other chair? What do you think this means for anything? Doesn't mean anything. What is your experience with Sam Raimi movies? Let's talk about all this stuff. I want to hear from you guys. If you like what I'm doing here though, and just appreciate this, I'm just talking about stuff I love, all you got to do is click the like button. I appreciate that. But let's talk about Dr. Stephen Strange. Oh, and I didn't even talk about how they nailed it in the end with him with the watch. I love that. That was cool. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, we're leaving. So that's it, guys. Thank you for being here. Let me know what you think about this movie. And I'm Jake Baldino. Subscribe because video games, pizza's on me.